Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ajua. I've added 7 new Middle Eastern fragrances to my fragrance collection, and 2 of them are coming from the Ministry of Oud line from Paris Corner. I think they've released 5 fragrances under the Ministry of Oud line, but I have 2 of them. Those are the only 2 I was interested in because the other 3 now whispers, I'm not sure what it's inspired by, so I'm not going to buy it blindly. However, when it comes to the other 2, one is inspired by Gris Chanel. I'm not ready to get another variation of Gris Chanel because I already have Liam Gris and I'm okay with that. There's also one known to be inspired by Oud Maracuja, which I'm also not interested in picking another bottle of Oud Maracuja, inspired by. I think one of them already, and I'm pleased with that. I think I have 2 of them, and I'm pleased with that. And these other 2 that I picked were the ones that I felt I had very little idea how they smelled, although I've read about them. And these are going to be Romance Rivera, which is supposedly inspired by Zejov's Ella Anniversary. And that is a fragrance I have no idea how it smells, but I decided to get this one blindly just because, I feel like was going to be a different fragrance altogether. But when I got this one, it smells identical to 2 fragrances I already have in my collection. Not to say it is not a good fragrance. I actually love this fragrance, but it reminds me of 2 other fragrances if I combine them and add a touch of oud to it. I have also received some fragrances from the Rayhaan Ghana team in PR, and I'm going to share all the details about these amazing fragrances with you as to what they are inspired by, how they smell, or what I think about them. So stay tuned for that. But before that, let me just go straight to the 2 that I bought from Paris Corner under the Ministry of Oud line. I didn't do anything like no structure. I just wanted to tell you how these fragrances smell to me. When it comes to Oud Romance, the bottle is very beautiful. The color is like a pale or light pink, baby pink, with it feels like slate, the lid and part of it feels textured and like slate. And I think I actually really love the bottle. The fragrance by itself gives me a combination of Pear Potion by Paris Corner and then Care Fusion also by Paris Corner. If you combine those 2 fragrances, as soon as I smelled it, I got the same exact Pear Potion vibe, which is a combination of a very juicy, mouth-watering pear and then apple, very crisp Granny Smith apple. I immediately got that. And I also got that lychee and sparkling effect of the Care Fusion by Paris Corner. So it gives me like combining those 2 fragrances like an exact thing. I can smell Care Fusion in it. I can smell Pear Potion in it somehow, but they've been blended, and in addition to those 2 fragrances, have added a touch of oud to it. It feels like if you combine those 2 fragrances, the same exact pear, the same exact juiciness, that tartness of the pear, and that, green apple feel of it, plus the same sparkling lychee vibe of Care Fusion is the exact same thing with a bit of candied sugariness to it. The fruit feels much more candied, or a lot candied and juicy, and a bit tart. But that oud is what separates those 2 fragrances. This one feels a lot more with more depth as compared to Care Fusion, which feels very girly fun, and Pear Potion also feeling very girl and fun. But this one, because of what I perceive as that woody touch, gives it more of an edge. It feels like there's something more to it and gives it more of a dressed up feel as compared to Care Fusion and Pear Potion, which have more of a casual vibe. So consider them as those 2 fragrances with a touch of oud and a very wearable, feminine leaning oud. It doesn't give me anything masculine. Even though I detect, an woody feel to it, it doesn't give me anything masculine per se. It still feels very feminine, but it just reminds me immediately upon first spray, Pear Potion and then Care Fusion. That is simply how I can describe Romance Rivera from the Ministry of Oud line. I really enjoyed this one. Although it feels like those 2 fragrances, it still doesn't feel redundant to me just because of that oud. There's a bit of a slight feminine, non-animalic, non-banyadi oud that I perceive in this one, which gives it more of a depth and gives it more, of a body and lifts it as opposed to the normal casual vibes of the Pep Ocean and then Care Fusion. So yeah, that is going to be my take or my review for Ministry of Oud's Romance Rivera. It feels romantic. I get it, I get it, but I cannot tell you if it smells identical to the original one from Zezhov because I have no idea how it smells. But I think this one is a safe blind buy. It's a very safe blind buy. The oud is not, or what I perceive as that oudi nuance is not animalic at all. So that is going to be the first one. The second fragrance in this is going to be Gladiator's Oath, and this has been reportedly inspired by Goldfields and Banks Silky Woods, and that is also a fragrance I'm not familiar with. However, upon first spray, this is how it looks like. This is like the same package, the same design but different colors, and I think I love them both. I love how they come across, and it's matching with my top today. So yeah, I love this. Gladiator's Oath also reminds me of two fragrances. It feels like if you combine Parfum de Marly's Altair with Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille, it gives me exact thing like if you combine those two fragrances. I'm getting that same mentally minty vibe of that spice that comes, that licorice spice that comes from the tobacco, from Tobacco Vanille. I get that, it gives you a bit of that Tobacco Vanille vibe with Parfum de Marly's Altair or even Liquid Brand. That is what I have in my collection. It feels like if you combine those two fragrances, then you're getting something in the region of Gladiator's Oath, known to be inspired by Silky Woods. However, the only thing I find missing in both of those fragrances is the fact that this one comes across as a bit more green. It feels like a green, woody, spicy vanilla scent. There's something green in this one that I don't get in Tobacco Vanille. I also don't get that same green touch from Parfum de Marly's Altair or the one from Liquid Brand. I also don't get that, but there's a spicy green undertone about it, and I can simply describe it as a green, woody, spicy vanilla scent. It's quite boozy, just like that boozy or bourbon vanilla I perceive in Liquid Brand. I get that same exact boozy vanilla, but I think this one comes across as a little more spicy, just slightly more spicy than Liquid Brand, for example. They are all spicy, but there's something that gives it a bit of an edge when it comes to the spicy nature. It feels like a lot sharper in terms of the spice than what I perceive in Tobacco Vanille and then Liquid Brand. But consider those two fragrances, add a bit of greenness to it, and then you're getting something in the region of this particular fragrance, which I'm not sure how Silky Woods also smells, but that is what this fragrance, that is what this fragrance smells to me. I get those two fragrances, the tobacco, very smooth, slightly smoky, the spice, the boozy bourbon vanilla, of Liquid Brand, and the tobacco of Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. Those are the two things I get. So to me, although I can describe it as a combination of those two, I think it is still not a redundant fragrance at all, just because of that green touch, that green vanilla touch that I find missing in both fragrances. I think if you combine, you're going to get something in the region, So yeah, that is what I'm going to describe Gladiator's Oath. It doesn't necessarily links masculine or feminine. I think it is a very perfect unisex scent, just like those two other fragrances. Tobacco Vanille is a very beautiful unisex scent, and so is Liquid Brand or Parfum de Marly's Altair, and so is this one, Gladiator's Oath, but it's just slightly more sharper with or spicier with the cardamom or the cinnamon that I perceive in this one. It feels much more of a green cardamom spice than anything to me. This is not a first impressions video. I've had some of these fragrances for at least 4 to 5 days, and I'm now getting the time to film. So yeah, these two fragrances, they are good from the get-go. I didn't find anything screechy or offensive about them. I think they are very polished fragrances. You can just get them, although I've seen them changing over the course of these few days that I've had them. But I think they are those fragrances you can get them and you're good to go. There's nothing synthetic and screechy and annoying about them at all. So those are the two I got from the Ministry of Oud line, and I think I'm going to stick with them. They're going to stay. I'm not going to sell them off or declutter them. I think they are good fragrances. I will wait on them to see how they also change or they turn. The rest of the fragrances are going to be fragrances I received in PR from the Rayhaan Ghana team. They sent me 5 fragrances, and most of them are masculine, leaning scents, with the exception of one that is very feminine, but the rest are a lot more masculine. But I love them. I feel like I can wear them myself. I don't even have any issue wearing some of these fragrances myself because they feel, although masculine leaning, I feel any bold, confident woman can pull them off. The first fragrance from Rayhaan is going to be Rayhaan Tiger, and this is known to be inspired by Jean-Paul Gaultier's Ultra Male. A very beautiful fragrance. It's very smooth. It's not as if this DNA is new. I've had several encounters with several other dupes. Case in point is Ram Silver from Latafa, which I had and have since decluttered. However, when it comes to this one, it is much more smoother. It gives me the same Ram Silver, but I think this one feels a lot more superior to Ram Silver. This one feels a lot more smoother. It is an aromatic, spicy vanilla scent with a note of pear that I get, As I said, it is not a new DNA on the market. However, I feel Rayhaan has sort of perfected it, in my opinion. It feels a lot more smoother with the aromatic floral vanilla and the note of pear that gives it a bit of sweetness. It is actually a very sweet fragrance. I can simply describe Lion as one of those party scents. It feels like much more fun and flirty. It feels very intoxicating, fun, flirty, very aromatic and spicy, and a very beautiful vanilla. And that is going to be Rayhaan Lion. The second Rehan fragrance I received is the Rahan Cologne edition, known to be inspired by Halfetti from Penhaligon. And this is in collaboration with Rahan Cologne. And this is a very beautiful, smooth, leathery, smoky, woody, mossy, earthy fragrance. It leans a little more to the, masculine side, although I think, usually bold and confident women can rock this one without having any issue. It will come across as a very beautiful scent, if you're able to rock it well. But it feels a lot more masculine to me with the earthy, mossy, leathery, woody, nuances and the note of tea. It's much more like a black tea, and black tea normally gives me vibes of a much more masculine, fragrance. And that is what I perceive in this one. A very smooth, beautiful one. The scent is also not a new one. I think I've had my brush with several other dupes, but I think this one feels a lot more smoother. I feel it's a little on the masculine side, although if you're a bold and confident woman and you want something edgy and a lot more intense, you might want to go for Rahan Cologne edition Rayhaan. It's a very beautiful scent, and that is going to be my take on on this particular one. They also sent my way Rehan Elixer, known to be inspired by Jean-Paul Gaultier's Rahan Elixer, and this is a fresh, aromatic, spicy vanilla scent. It feels much more versatile, much more relaxed, although it has a lot of sweetness to it. It feels like you can dress it up, you can dress it down. You get that same almost identical, DNA with the Ultra Male, but this one has a bit of a spice, freshness with the mint. It has a note of mint. It has a bit of freshness to it, a little hint of greenness, and much more uplifting and much more versatile as opposed to the original Rahan, which feels a lot more sweet and flirty. This one also comes across as sweet and flirty, but much more versatile in a way that you can wear it to the office. Whereas in Ultra Male, I feel it's more of a party vibe, but this one feels like you can wear it to the office, you can wear it, to the club, to lounges, it feels a lot more versatile, and that is going to be my take on Rehan Elixer. Next is going to be my favorite of the bunch when it comes to the Rayhaan fragrances, and this is known as Rayhaan Corium. This is a very beautiful scent. It's supposed to have the note of leather, but I barely detect any harsh, masculine leaning leather. It feels like a woman can also wear this one, although it has a bit of a masculine DNA, but it follows that same suite of the spicy, aromatic, woody vanilla. But this one has a note of leather and sage, giving it a bit of an aromatic, spicy vibe to it. I think of the 3 I've discussed, this is the 4th one. Of the 4 I've discussed, this is going to be my favorite of them. Rayhaan Corium feels like a fragrance I would wear myself, although it feels slightly more masculine. I think I like how it is combined with the spice, the vanilla, the sage, and it doesn't necessarily give me a super thick masculine one. It feels like something I would want to wear. It gives me vibes of Antique by Junaid. It feels like those type of sweet, aromatic, woody vanilla scents that I don't find offensive wearing this one myself, although it's being marketed towards men. I don't know why. It feels like a very unisex, with an edge, something quite bold and confident and beautiful. And of the four I have discussed now, from the Rehan line, this Corium is my favorite. I really appreciate how this one, interprets on my skin. It feels spicy, delicious, beautiful, vanilla, and a bit of spice and the sage. But the leather, although it has a note of leather, it is not like a heavy masculine linen leather scent. And that is going to be my take on Corium. And the last from Rehan is going to be the most feminine of them all, or the actual one being marketed towards women. And this is Rayhaan Dahliya. This is a very beautiful melon. I get something like the melon, melons and aquatic and fresh and green. It's much more green to me. It feels like freshly cut grass, but in a very beautiful way. Dahliya actually reminds me of a fragrance I have from Rosie Jane, by Rosie Jane, Leila Lou. It's a fresh, green, crisp, sort of pear fragrance with some melons. This one has the note of melon, but that one has pear, but it is very fresh and aquatic and refreshing and juicy. It feels like a damp witch when it's super hot. It's one of those very refreshing, comforting fragrances. It feels like, it calms you down. There's a bit of greenness to it. There's a bit of, aquatic, watery nuances to it. It's very aquatic and watery and lightweight. It doesn't do too much. There's a bit of sweetness to it too. It feels a lot feminine, very simple. It feels clean. It is a simple yet elegant, refreshing and calming scent, and that is going to be my take on Dahliya from Rehan. These are 7 amazing fragrances. I don't think there's a fail in any of them. All of them to me are 10. There was nothing I could find wrong to say. I couldn't, say, okay, this one is harsh and synthetic. There was nothing synthetic and harsh about any of them. From jumpstart, fresh from the box, they all smelled amazing in my opinion, or to me, and I can't wait for them to macerate and let you know how they have even turned out better or worse, in some instances. So that is what I have for you today, and I hope this video found you well. So please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I hope to see you in my next one. Take care. Bye bye.